Ready?
Oh, and I just go. Yep, no. I do it. I do. I did notice that when I went.
Prepare to march! March on!
Company. Yeah. Prepare to halt. Yeah. Halt. By the right, about, face. Okay. Company. Fire and barrel fouls from the right. Number 1. Make ready. Present. Huzzah! 2. Make ready. Present. Huzzah! Fire! Number 3. Make ready. Present. Huzzah! Fire! Number 4. Make ready. Present. Huzzah! Fire! 5. Make ready. Present. Fire! 6. Make ready. Present. Huzzah! Fire! Cover your arms. Hold your arms. 2. Okay, Jacobite falls fall out.
You can see why it's called the fog of war.
Alright, aye. You imagine thousands doing it then.
Company, left face. Wheeling to the right, right wheel. Hold. Hold. Left face. Grab your ranks. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce you to the forces of His Majesty King George, God bless it. Right in front of you here, this afternoon we have members of the Edinburgh City Guard and members of the British Royal Navy. The Edinburgh City Guard, as you can probably guess by the title, were based in Edinburgh. They're effectively Scotland's first police force. Their job was effectively to patrol the city, ensure that the men obeyed, people of the city obeyed their curfew. You can tell that they're dressed as Redcoat soldiers. People of Edinburgh decided that they didn't like regulars, as in British troops being stationed within the city, and as such they decided to pay for their own men. So the men you have here would have all been local to Edinburgh. They'd have been trained by British officers, but equipped and drilled as British regulars. They would have had daytime jobs. Effectively, these men are very similar to Dad's army in that they'd have been called up if they needed to, they'd have drilled in the evenings, and they would have been paid for doing so. So it was a second form of income. Now, as I say, each man is dressed and equipped like a British regular. Each man is equipped with a brown bess musket and a bayonet. City Guard, 2 paces forward, march! Recover your arms. So the brown breast musket was used by the British Army for the best part of 250 years. Not the most accurate of weapons, and they do take quite a long time to load. We'll give you a quick demonstration of how this weapon loads and fires. Company, half cock your pieces. Handle your cartridge. So each man would be equipped with several cartridges, between about 30 to 60 rounds, and it will be a tube of paper containing gunpowder and a lead ball, all in one piece. Prime.
Actual powder?
With powder. All the flintlock, because the main primary ignition for the gun is a piece of flint striking a shiny piece of metal above this pan. Load! The rest of the gunpowder, the paper and the lead ball would then be rammed down the barrel. Handle your rammers. Withdraw your rammers. Short your rammers. Put it to the barrel. Ram down the charge. Recover your rammers. Shorten your rammers. Put it to the pipes. Replace. Very important move. If the men fired their ramrods, the gun becomes useless. There is a myth that you can tap load, and although it will fire, it will not have the same impact as a fully rammed charge. In order for gunpowder to work, it has to be compressed. Cast off. Recover your arms. Company, by the right, about, face. Aim high into the tree, chaps. Section, make ready. Present. Huzzah! Fire! Recover. Now, as you can see, loading gun instruction takes a long time, and the men would be asked to learn this. Basically, in their sleep, they'd have to know exactly what they were doing. Company, in your own time, with powder, load! In a battle situation, the men would be asked to fire as quickly as possible. Now, the British infantry of the period could load and fire 3 rounds a minute, and as you can see, it's quite a lot of work in order to get these 3 rounds. And as such, the only way you could compensate for this was to fire as many shots in one direction at once, a volley fire. Put as much lead into the air as possible. So effectively, you can only fire as quickly as the last man. Section, make ready. Present. Huzzah! Fire! Recover. Section, by the right, about face. Rest upon your arms. 2, 1, 2. Now, should the enemy get through this hail of shot to meet the Redcoat line, be they French or be they Highlander, they would meet with a second weapon. Handle your bayonets. Withdraw your bayonets. Fix bayonets. 17 inches of fluted steel attached to the end of the musket transforms a musketeer effectively into a pikeman. Recover your arms.
2, 2, 2.
Charge your bayonets, breast high. Push your bayonets.
Huzzah!
Push your bayonets.
Huzzah!
Push your bayonets.
Huzzah!
Recover your bayonets. Shoulder your arms.
2, 2.
By the right about face. 2 paces forward march. By the right about face. Stand easy. So you've seen the British Redcoat, but the British Army was nothing without its navy. We controlled the waves. Britain ruled the waves. And we have an example of 2 men from HMS Fox here with us today. So Auden, can I ask you to come out first? So we have a young lad here who's joined the navy, and is equipped very differently than the Redcoats, as you can see. His main weapon is a boarding pike. Not the most technical of weapons, but perfect for stopping the French from coming over the side of ships. Now, a large block of naval men thrusting their pikes into the faces of the French is enough to keep them off the ship. However, if they get past that, he does have a couple more weapons at his disposal. The first being his pistol, the single shot pistol, which he can also use as a club after he's fired it. And he's also got a boarding axe. And these axes, get it out for you, there you go. It's got a hook on one end, so it allows him to clamber aboard the enemy ships and take the fight to the enemy. Thank you, Auden. Fall back. Oh, and of course, finally, The other invention is, of course, the grenade. Now, these weapons were used on ship-to-ship action to clear the decks. You can launch a handful of grenades over the sides of the ships onto the enemy. They're not going to hang about to watch them go off. And as such, we used to lob them all the time. Thank you, Warden, if you'd like to fall back in. Mr. Duffy is equipped slightly differently. His primary weapon is a blunderbuss, another deck-clearing weapon. Effectively, if you can jump aboard the enemy ship and fire a shot, it will spread. So if I'm looking at you as an audience now, you, sir, from this side to you, sir, at this side, would be hit but with shot. A very useful weapon, but one shot in a ship-to-ship action. As soon as it's used, it's useless. Therefore, he has a second weapon, the naval cutlass. A straightforward weapon. No finesse, it's a clubbing weapon. You can hack and slash, you can punch people in the face, and it's basically just, again, for deck clearance. Bloody fighting on board ships. It wasn't finesse, there was no gentlemanly conduct, it was hack and slash, and if you're standing on your feet by the end of it, well done. Thank you, Mr. Duffy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you a quick introduction there to the British Army. During the 45, it had to evolve. They didn't have a choice. At Prestonpans, they were beaten. General Cope had a lot of green troops, regular troops who were trained, but not necessarily used to trained against Highlanders. These men would have been used to fighting against the French, effectively. Men who would stand face to face and fire volleys into each other, not come screaming through the mist. Cumberland, after Prestonpans, decided upon a new drill to catch the Highlanders under their sword arm. Company, recover your arms. Charge your bayonets. Quarter turn to the right. So effectively the entire line turns to a quarter into the right, so when they thrust their bayonets, you're catching the Highlanders as they come at you in their sword arms. Thank you, company. Recover your arms. Shoulder your arms. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening today. We'll give you a quick general salute. Now, generally this was reserved for royalty, so this is quite a privilege. Company, prepare for general salute. Present out.
God save King George!
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Company, recover your arms. Rest upon your arms. Handle your arms.
Bonnie Prince Charlie, Charles Edward Stuart, landed on the west coast of Scotland in July 1745 with half a dozen men, no weapons, very little money. Within a month he had the nucleus of an army, MacDonalds and Camerons, about 1,000 strong, having raised the standard at Glenfinnan. Within a month he was master of virtually all of Scotland, having taken Edinburgh without a fight. There were a few government forces in isolated garrisons, Stirling Castle, Edinburgh. The government forces under Sir John Cope had been given the slip and found themselves in Aberdeen with the Jacobite army behind them. So by ship they returned down the east coast to Dunbar, and from Dunbar marched towards Edinburgh, where the Prince and the Jacobite force of about 2,500 now were. On the 21st of September 1745, the two armies faced each other at Prestonpans. Armies were evenly matched in terms of numbers, about 2,500 on each side. The Jacobite army was predominantly a Highland army at that stage. Stuart, MacDonald, Cameron, and their battle tactic was the Highland charge. This had worked very effectively in 1689 at Killiecrankie in the first Jacobite rising, and they were about to put this tried tactic into use again. On the morning of the battle, they approached the government forces from an unexpected direction, through the morning mist, over flat, hard terrain. They were buoyed by their success early in the rising. Enthusiasm was high. They were well fed and paid at that stage. Everything was in their favour. So great hope was placed on the effectiveness of the charge against Johnny Cope's government forces. So we will now, ladies and gentlemen, reenact the Highland charge at Prestonpans.
Cover your arms. Make ready. Present. Huzzah! Fire. Recover. Press high. Company, push your bayonets! I yield. Yes, I asked for it. Thank you.
There, 5-0 to the Jacobites, I think.
Even in death.
The Jacobites' belief in the invincibility of the Highland charge. Within 7 months, the Jacobite army had crossed the border, taken Carlisle, marched to Derby, marched back again, left the garrison at Carlisle, retreated into Scotland, beaten another government army at Falkirk in January 1746, but by April 1746 were near Inverness, having lost the east coast ports, and it was a very different army from the one of Prestonpans. Reduced by desertion, casualties, clans going home, units in action elsewhere in the north of Scotland, having spent the previous night before the battle marching to Nairn in an attempt to surprise government forces in their camp at night. Atrocious weather, rain, sleet in their face, bad ground, very boggy. Some eyewitnesses say they sank into their knees into watery pools.
Fired by Fells from the right. Cover your arms.
2, 2, 1, 2.
Make ready.
You will not charge till I say. Stay here. We have no order, I tell you.
Firing by Fowls. Number 1, make ready. Present. Fire.
Number order, boys.
Fire. Number 2, make ready.
Come on, they're locking us.
Make ready. Present. Fire. Number 4, make ready. Present. Fire. Present. Huzzah. Fire.
Climb on!
Where are you training? Push to the right.
Climb!
1 pace forward. Right. Section. 1 pace forward. Advance. Push forward, lads. Back. Push forwards. Company, recover your arms. Make ready. Present. Fire. Recover. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, unfortunately, the British Army had learnt its mistakes at Prestonpans and eventually was able to defeat the army at Culloden itself.
Too bad.
I think a round of applause, if you wouldn't mind, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we get the dead to arise.
3 cheers for the Edinburgh City Guard. Hip hip.
Huzzah!
Hip hip.
Huzzah!
Hip hip.
Huzzah!
And adversaries. Hip hip.
Huzzah!
Hip hip.
Huzzah!
Hip hip.
Huzzah!
Thank you, sir. Okay, well done, boys. Cover your arms.
2, 2, 1, 2.
Rest upon your arms.
2, 2, 1, 2.
Handle your bayonets. Unfix your bayonets. Replace your bayonets. Halt. Redress the line. Dress on the City Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, as well as reenacting the period, we have to remember those that fought and died during the rebellion or the uprising. And as such, we'd like to now play lament for the fallen, and we'll also have a moment's silence thereafter. City Guard, in silence, present arms. Angus, when you're ready. Hats off. Hooray! Hats off. City Guard, hats off. Parade! Hats on! Shoulder your arms! Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending. We are the Edinburgh Volunteer Regiment, and to show our appreciation, both sides will now give our own salute. Captain Wilkes.
Jacobite forces, 3 cheers for the Edinburgh City Guard and the Royal Navy. Hip hip!
Huzzah!
Hip hip!
Huzzah!
Hip hip!
Huzzah!
Government forces, 3 cheers for the Jacobites. Hip hip!
Huzzah!
Hip hip!
Huzzah!
Hip hip!
Huzzah!
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With powder. Load!
Jacobite forces, load.
Those of you that are hanging about, you're going to get a bit of a treat now. Brigade! Make ready! Present!
Huzzah!
Fire! Recover! City Guard, shoulder arms.
Jacobite, shoulder arms.
Alan Brecks, dismissed.
Three!
Huzzah!
Huzzah!